most knowledgeable men I know in
He
boxing
set
and
me
in
up. Look, he
football.
set me up already.
Combination. Combination.
Here come the
Boxing and
setup.
football. My man A.K.O.Y.E. What's good, A.K.O.Y.E?
What's up with you, Brody? How you, man?
Oh man, I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. We're gonna allow some people to come in here first. You already know
Okay.
YouTube is slow with the notifications.
Oh yeah, it'll get on it. It'll get on it. I ain't been live on my page in a minute, so my people might take a second, but they gonna jump on if they see me on here too. Yeah. What you been up to though, man?
Oh
That was
man,
a.
slow motion. Yo, I actually been outside for like the last 3 days.
I was about to say you
I'm
seem like
tired.
you been outside for the last couple months because I ain't been able to get with you. I'm like, man, where this nigga at, man? What's
Don't
going on?
nah, man. You're a busy man, yo.
I'm here, man. I'm here.
You're a busy man. Beyond Levels TV, what's good with you?
Yo, yo.
Uh
Hey, we got some
Trey,
folks.
what up, Trey?
Yeah, got Troy bugging in. Got some folks in here. They starting up.
All right.
But yeah.
Yo, so this is a little painful topic for me. Kid Austin. Kid
Oh,
Austin stops Tevin Farmer.
right,
First round.
right.
I didn't expect that shit. I thought Tev would be Kid,
Mm-hmm.
but I would definitely give Kid his props if he pulled it off. And he not only pulled it off, he pulled it off emphatically. Talk
Yeah,
to me. What
done
you
in
think of the
fashion.
performance?
I never seen nobody do that to Ted before, so that was impressive. I won't lie. Yeah, that was impressive.
What'd you see? How you set it up?
I mean, for me, the way I look at that fight, man, like, and I'll say this, and I don't like without saying too much. Like we all roll in the same circles, right? So I was in the gym, and this isn't like a knock on Tev at all. It's just I was in the gym, you know, during this training session. I didn't know he had a fight coming up. I had no clue, and that's because to me, the intensity wasn't there in the gym. So it just was like not like he wasn't. I don't know what he did outside of the day I was in the gym. I just know the day that I saw him in the gym, we were, everybody was like kind of chopping it up about like relationships, shit like that. Now watching the fact that he was in a fight, that he had a fight with somebody that likes the kid Austin, I think that he might have been a little distracted. I think a lot of guys who train from home might be a little distracted, and I don't mean that to like. I'm not picking apart. I could be 100% wrong. I'm not trying to pick apart his camp or what he was doing. None of that. I'm just saying when I saw him, maybe he was distracted. And that's probably why he got caught. What I call got caught dry or cold. Ted hadn't worked up the sweat yet. He's just trying to warm up. He thought he was like. I think he was kind of trying to ease into a fight, and Floyd brought the fight directly to him from bell to bell, like from the first round on, and he was circling to his right. I tell fighters, I tell a lot of conventional fighters, like southpaws, if you want to get your offense off on a southpaw, offense goes right, defense goes left. So if you want to escape a southpaw, you want to escape to your left, you want to circle to your left when you're trying to be on your defensive minded tip, right? Because you're not only out leveraging that right hand, right? But also you're getting further away from the left. So it makes them have to overextend on the left, lift that right foot up, and keep turning with you if you're going to your left. When you're going to your right, though, you can get your jab off. And immediately I saw that with Schofield. He was going to his right. Hats off to them for seeing that, for doing it. But he was going to his right. And as soon as Tevin threw a jab, he came right over the top of the jab with his left hand instead of trying to. A lot of guys like parry at your jab, they paw at your jab. When you fight your southpaw, they keep intercepting each other's lead hands. He went right
Mm.
over the top of it immediately, caught him with I think a surprise jab. He hit him with that jab and it kind of shocked him. And he had the angle still. He was still on a good enough angle to throw a good right hand, and he caught Ted flush with that. That was it, really. I mean, everything that happened after that was just finishing work. Him just getting excited and trying to finish. But going to your right against the southpaw gives you the option to use both hands, and he did a great job doing it. And I don't think it was like the strategy was so great that he just figured out how to fight all southpaws or he figured out Tevin Farmer or any of that. I think he went to his right, and when he caught Tev, he was still fresh. He was still strong. It was early in the fight, obviously, the first round. And he never recovered. He didn't get a chance to recover from that shot. So I think anybody can lose if you get hit with the right shot and you get hit with the right shot early enough from the right guy. And that's what happened. I mean, hats go off to Schofield. I like the kid. I think that he's tough. But what he showed me in this fight, and the reason, even though it was a short fight, what he showed me with just the strategy change is that he's learning. Because before he got signed, I think to Oscar and those guys, he was I evaluated him myself for Rick Ross, because I don't know if that's out there, but Rick Ross initially he was signed with them, or they had a working arrangement, but he asked me to evaluate him at that time. And I'm not sure who the kid was from Houston who he was sparring, but he got put down a couple times in that sparring session. And I just said, oh, well, he got a lot of work to do, at that time. I just, it was good work for both of them, but they got a lot of work to do. And that was probably 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago. So he's showing that he's coachable, he's learning, and he's gonna be dangerous, man, because he got popped, and if he's not going into every fight looking to brawl, and he actually is using his mind, he's showing you what he's capable of and what he's able to do. And he did it against a very slick, very defensive-minded southpaw. So guys like Shakur, guys like Tank, they gotta be put on notice because he's in their division and he's around, you know what I mean? And he showed that he's ready to take that challenge. I think what can he win? I don't know, but from a business perspective, me being on, let me put my business hat on. From a business perspective, like as a promoter, or if you're trying to push a fight between him and either of those two, now is the time after a performance like that. Like you can't kind of you can't look at that performance and say it's not one that's going to push him to that upper conversation, because it was that surprising to do it to a veteran who, although he gets his wins, he gets his losses, Tevin does, but nobody does that to Tevin. Nobody's ever. I haven't seen it. So that was a good performance, good shot at the perfect time, and like you said when you started, it's not the greatest thing for guys from Philly who kind of see these guys, know these fighters. It's a sad day for that, but and as far as boxing goes, it's a great thing for boxing, a great thing for Floyd Schofield.
All right, real fast, want to send a shout out to my boy Claymore Rain. Good to see him in here, my man Thomas Hill, Old Mac.
Oh, Bo Mac,
Everybody's in the building. Yo,
make sure y'all hit that like button, those that's in here too. I see y'all in
here.
Yeah,
we got 59 people.
Give my man likes up, man.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this. My biggest takeaway was the foot feints. He has this Sean Porter hop that he does. I don't know if you peep that he did it right before. He did hop, like the feint, and then hop and go. And I think that threw Tev off to get that opening. And I ain't even gonna lie, bro. He threw that right hand from a weird angle. I don't think Tev
he didn't
was
have that. He
expecting
didn't
it
have
at
a
all.
great angle. He was losing the angle because of that jab he threw. But yeah, you're right. He was kind of like bladed. He was it's like his feet weren't right, but he still got enough on it though to make it work. So, like I said, hats go off to him for that. But go ahead, finish what you were saying.
Yeah. Claymore asks, does this win put a Shakur or Abdullah fight in a different perspective? To me, no, because I feel like this was more of a young man caught an old man, an older man, in a like older fighters take 2 to 3 rounds. They've been 12 rounds so long. They take 2 to 3 rounds to get warmed up and to start filling the guys out. Older fighters are slower starters. Younger fighters come out guns a blazing. And I felt like Tev was a little bit too relaxed, facing a young fucking strong kid that ain't really never touched no money before.
Right.
That like Tev, pretty girl, investments outside of boxing.
Right.
Got like 6 or 7 title defenses, then fought damn near everybody. So he coming in here with a different perspective. Young boy's trying to get on. And it showed. And so I think that kid is a live dog, but I don't see him beating Abdullah nor Shakur at this time. But what I do feel like is Kid doing at the tough earned his right to be in there with just about anybody right now.
Right.
Because
now that's the conversation. So
the Payne got his title shot
like from a boxing
off of beating Tev. Yeah.
Right.
And Moritaya got a title got a title shot off of beating Tev. So he earned his right to be in there with anybody right now.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. And you split it up because if you're saying like from just a pure boxing perspective, can he beat Mason or Shakur because of this fight? No, but will people believe that he can? Yes. So it's the perfect time. Like I said, it's perfect time to take those steps up and fight guys like that because uh, after that performance, you really this is the best performance of his career, obviously. And when you look at Tev, those guys weren't hyped to fight Tev. Nobody really wants to fight Tevin Farmer because he's just a complicated fight. It's not an easy fight, right? So to go in there and make it look easy, you better ask for the moon right now because he has leverage. Anything you do after this, if you're fighting a lesser guy or if you have a struggle, if Schofield struggles against a lesser opponent next, or he's not there yet, that kind of hampers this performance. So right now is the time for him to try to take a step up and do what he needs to do because you can't do anything other than go down from here, in my opinion. Because if you don't fight that upper echelon and you struggle, or you have a decision, or even a tough fight, he had a lot of tough brawls in his career already for a young guy. He get cut, he gets cut. He's a warrior, but if he has one of those types of performances again after this, it takes him right back to where he was, or right back down to earth. I think right now he has to take a shot, even if he has to wait a little bit. Take a shot at the moon right now, man. That's what he should do, in my opinion, from a
And that's
business
boxing
standpoint.
fans though. And it shouldn't be like that, but boxing fans expect you to look spectacular every
Every
time out.
time, every time.
And that's not reality. But
Nah,
I'm gonna keep it a bean. If I'm Tank and I get past Lamont Roach, give me him.
oh
Because
yeah,
his value, you don't want him to go in there with Shakur
right,
because Shakur can make somebody look terrible, right?
right.
If you go in there with Abdullah could end up stopping him. So with Tank, he knocked out a former rival of yours in the first round. He is at his height as far as buzz, and he's still green. This would be the perfect time to grab him.
True. I mean, that'll be an angle for Floyd. That would be Floyd's dream. Not, I don't
Yeah.
think Tank would jump in there with a Floyd right now just because Tank is Tank. His brand is what it is. He gonna make the same type of money regardless, right? Uh, Floyd would probably be chopping at the bit at that. I don't think Tank looks at that and says, "Yo, I need to fight this young kid right now or never," because he doesn't have a now or never energy when it comes to anybody's fighting because he knows he is the table right now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're right. As far as it being the time for him to take a shot at a guy like Tank, because that's the money. That's the best money you're gonna get for the type of threat you're taking. I mean, unless you went after like I look at it like this. Just me. If I'm managing them, and I'm just saying career wise, what route would I take? You don't fight an Abdullah Mason right now because you're not gonna make the type of money you need to make, and it's a dangerous ass fight, and you probably lose, right? If you win, it's the same way. You got a puncher's chance, or a little more than a puncher's chance. I'm not trying to disrespect his skill set. I just think Abdullah Mason has more tools that he can dive into, and I think he wins that fight. I wouldn't fight him. If you fight a Shakur right now, that's the way I would go. I would try to fight a Shakur because it's not as dangerous, even though you say he may make you look a little bad. But I think a Shakur runs a lot in this fight, or tries to avoid a guy like him in a fight with Floyd. And even if he beats him, I think he beats him by decision. So you're not really taking much damage, but you're getting a good enough payday. And even if you lose a decision to a Shakur, it doesn't really kill your brand because you lost to a decision to a Shakur. Now, then you go try to fight a Tank or somebody else. I wouldn't go Tank
See,
first.
this is why I don't agree with that.
Go ahead.
You can still get Shakur if you get knocked out by Tank.
No,
I don't
or
think
you
you can
might.
get Tank
Yeah, now you
if you get
really
knocked.
get
If
Shakur. Shakur
Shakur
gonna be hype after that. You right. You right about that part. I like that too. I like that too. But I don't like the damage you take going that route.
no,
You know what I'm saying?
it's a risk.
You might
It's
not
a
get to
risk.
Shakur after getting knocked out
You
by
might,
Tank. You might take a while. You might not get Shakur at all. You know what I'm saying? After you get your
but
chitlins
what they
knocked
say,
out.
what we in this for, right? What
That's
we in
true.
this for? If you can get a crack, even if you're not ready, right? Unless you are a guy that they look at as the future,
Mm.
where Now I could keep this dude on ice, and he's going to be a huge ticket seller down the road. If
That's
you
Abdullah
are
Mace,
not, yeah, if you are not projected as that, then I would say take the crack, get the payday.
right?
Because if you're a guy like you, management, you analyze fighters. If you know your guy could lose to 7 or 8 of the top 10, it's like I got to take this crack now
Oh yeah, you
because
take the crack.
going through the gauntlet, I might not get there.
Yeah, and if you fare well, then you stay in that upper echelon and you get other paydays. So you're right about that. But like I said, I just don't think that I don't think that anybody else after watching this performance. Here's the other thing that happens, and this is the thing that people don't pay attention to. Now everyone else who he would have fought or who would have fought him a certain way takes him all the more serious because they don't want to be the next Tevin Farmer. So he's not going to get the run of the mill or the lackluster. He's not going to get overlooked, is what I'm saying. Anybody who fights him, he's now getting a better Tank. He's getting a better Shakur. He's getting a better Abdullah Mason. Anybody he fights is going to take him all the more serious now. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have taken him serious before, but I don't think Tevin took him that serious, to be honest. So I think that at this point, he's going to get everybody's best shot, and that means he has to elevate his game as well. Because yeah, you knocked out Tevin, but now everybody gonna be on your ass because they really know what you can do if they don't take you serious. So he's gonna get full game plans. People gonna game plan for him like they game planning for a championship fight.
Facts. And I know how Tevin took him. I'm fighting a boy. You know what I mean? Like here's the reality. Guys that been on the top level for a long time, and you got this baby coming up. And I ain't gonna say like they know the kid might be athletic, they know the kid's strong, but in their mind, you don't know enough boxing to be in here with me. But the problem with that, the problem with that thought process is these young bulls ain't playing. They ain't touched nothing yet. You,
I,
but people don't realize. Wait, real fast.
Go ahead.
Darius, Okoye is a promoter.
Go ahead.
He promotes shows. So you know how much fighters is making on the club level. These kids
Right.
ain't touching no bread.
No, they
You
don't.
know what I'm saying? For the first for the first 15 to 20 fights, they really not touching no money.
You might be
And now you
paying me to fight for the first 15
exactly,
fights.
you know what I'm
You
saying?
might not make nothing. You might pay me to get your ass whooped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right.
So you know the B sides make the money.
Right.
And now you got like I see these dudes with the bad bitches, you know what I'm saying, with the cars, with the chains. I want to get on. I want a bad bitch. I want to reel with the red black interior. Y'all see on Instagram with the red black interior. It seems like everybody got red black interior. But I want one of those. So
Right.
you got a dude that been making over 6 figures for
Right.
damn near, the damn near the last five years, and a
Right.
guy that ain't touched shit.
Right. Right. I mean, Floyd, like I said, he in good position right now. I mean, I give you that. He in good position to kind of call his card. And I look at Tev, the way he looked at him, I do think he overlooked him. He looked at him like, yeah, like you said, I'm fighting a young bull who really don't know enough to get with me. He can't do that much. And he thought that he was gonna be a front runner, which he may still be a front runner. You don't know. He got caught early by a guy who could be very well a front runner, but he got caught. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? But you're right. A lot of these young guys really are out here. You know, they're ready. Like a lot of these young, hungry guys are ready. You know what I mean? Floyd Schofield. One thing I can say for him, you got two different tiers of fighters, right? You got blue chip fighters that are like a Boots or like a Mason, and they got skills. You know that they're going to be that guy. They're a blue chip prospect coming in, and then you have guys who are a throwback, like they just got it here, like they're warriors. I do give Floyd that. What Floyd doesn't have in blue chip skill, he do have heart. Like Floyd Schofield is a tough fighter when he's fighting. He's focused and he's serious and he's not playing with you. So he's always game. You know what I mean? And then the other element to that is a lot of these guys is fighting, you know, uh, small, quick guys, right? You might fighting a guy who's explosive, and a young black kid who's explosive. That's a little different than fighting, a guy who's always been small or a guy who's naturally a smaller frame guy, whether it's Mexican, whoever, right? You get used to a certain power level and a certain reflex level. Floyd Schofield showed me that he was like, one, I'm just as quick as you when I'm fresh, but he's explosive. He's explosive. You can't take it the same way you would take a Zepeda or some of these guys who are not punching the same. You know what I'm saying? Floyd Schofield can bang and he tough. So fighting a black guy who fight like a Mexican, ask everybody who fought Errol Spence for the first couple years, you know what I mean, until he met Crawford, how hard that was. You fighting a guy who has like explosive athleticism, good punching power, but his mindset, even though he's not he's not a high boxing, I won't even say high boxing IQ, but he's not a slick boxer, a pure boxer. He can bang. You know what I mean? So that style is going to be hard for anybody. It don't matter who you are, because he just showed the same thing that you see with a guy like Gervonta. You can beat him. He can give up some rounds, but he just showed that he's explosive enough to get you out of here with just one. You only need one good shot. And you got to ask yourself now, everybody ask yourself until he fights someone else and kind of brings doubt or brings affirmation to it, you got to ask yourself, like, can you get through 10 to 12 rounds with Schofield without getting hit with one of those shots? And that's now become the litmus test. You know what I'm saying? So he's done nothing but bring himself to a stratosphere where you got to respect his game. You got to respect his power. You got to respect his explosiveness. And I don't mean anything like racial when I say that. I'm just talking about like different levels, different styles. Every race or every culture has a different style, and he just so happens to be a one of those strange guys, like a throwback Hagler or like a Spence, where I don't fight a black style. I don't fight a slick pure boxing style, open hands down shoulder roll style. He fights like a Mexican, but he's black.
I want to expound upon that though. Scary Hours, what's up? You noticed that style in Texas, right? And
James Kirkland. James Kirkland was one of the first ones I seen that fought like that. He did not have a slick style. He fought like a Mexican southpaw.
And the problem with going up against that style is you are getting essentially a Mexican technical fighter with black man explosiveness.
Yep.
And what makes that so fucking awkward is when you are able to turn Mexican fighters, turn them and then use angles, that black Mexican is still there.
Yeah, he with you. He got enough athleticism to keep up with you.
He took that step with you. And so now he's putting you in positions where you got to fight where you normally wouldn't have to.
Well, you just saw that. That's where Tev got caught. Tev didn't get caught sleep. He got caught in an angle where he thought Floyd couldn't reach him. And he thought, if he does reach me, I'm all the way. He was leaning back with his hands down. He thought that if he do reach me, it's not going. He gonna clip me, not gonna hurt me. And he caught him clean on the nose with that. He didn't think that he can reach him. He didn't think he had the angle, because, like you said, once he caught Tev with the jab, Tev parried back, like kind of like slid back off of it just so he could see what was coming. So he kind of saw it, but it was like the fact that he didn't think that he had enough leverage on that punch. I don't know why he didn't have his hands out. I thought maybe he thought he was safe, but from that angle, most people ain't knocking nobody out from that angle. He didn't have it. He didn't even get a chance to like kind of step into it or fully turn. He kind of was like falling awkwardly off of it. So he really didn't get him with the full power on that shot, because he was falling to his right when he threw it. So
that's a good point. He threw that shit across his body, kind of.
Yeah, had he got full leverage into that, it probably don't even go past that punch, because he caught him clean, but he didn't get him with a full, his full weight behind it. He didn't get to step into it or turn his shoulder or even get his hip into it, because all of his momentum was going off to the right while Tevin was off to his left. You know what I mean? So it was like you said, he's throwing across his body and falling to the opposite side. So that says something, man. You're right about that. That was a good analysis though of black fighters fighting like Mexico. I never thought about it being a Texas thing, but it kind of it might be. You know what I mean? I don't think Floyd not from Texas though, but it is a lot of guys out of there. I know Spence and James Kirkland fight like that.
Yeah, but remember they moved to Texas. They moved to Austin.
And that's where they are now.
And so as he's as he's competing in the amateurs and shit like that, remember that's what you're sparring against. Mm-hmm. So you kind of take like bits and pieces of that. And yeah, with Earl's originally from New York, right? I mean, from like Long Island.
I have no clue.
Yeah, he's Earl's like a Jamaican, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I ain't know where he's from. I don't get into
but that that's definitely like a downside because I feel like Brian Norman has something similar to that.
They said that he been in Texas since he was a kid too. So damn, I ain't know that. I ain't know that. I thought he was a West Coast young boy. But they said
Yeah.
Kid Austin been in Texas since he was a kid too. So that was a good analysis on that because that definitely, like when you look back, you look at guys that fight like Mexicans who were black guys, like they all that style, that combination of style. Like I think of a guy like he's not a short, stocky guy like this guy. Kid Austin isn't, but the white Cowie. The white Cowie was like a black Mexican. He was short, stocky. He's coming forward, very technical, but he wasn't going to outbox you from the outside because he was too little. He's 5'7", fighting light heavyweight and cruiserweight and so on. Matter of fact, I think he fought heavyweight too because he fought George Foreman as well. But that type of style can give anybody problems. You know what I mean? When you look at some of the greats back in the day, their biggest fights or their toughest fights, like even Sugar Ray Robinson versus a guy like a Lamata. You know what I mean? Guys that are coming forward, that are in your face, they ain't going nowhere, but they got good toughness, explosiveness, and punching power, and they fight like Mexico. They pressure fighters. Ali Frazier, that's the proverbial, matchup that makes compelling fights through the history of boxing. So Floyd Schofield just put himself in a stratosphere where he can name guys at the top and they have to respond. Now they can't overlook him and say you ain't done enough, you ain't done nothing that'll make me talk to you or get your game up, build it up. If you want to fight a guy like Floyd and you use that excuse, you don't have it anymore. You either got to fight him or just duck him. You know what I mean? Because you can't say he ain't ready. Can't say that no more.
Facts. All right, we'll transition into the other fight that was just announced. It's a fight that wasn't really on anybody's radar, but it was like, oh shit, I'll take that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brian Norman Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
Devin Haney.
Mm. Yeah.
I think that just hearing that, a lot of people are writing Dev off because of what happened with Ryan Garcia, but I really, really like this fight. To me, it's a 50-50 fight. What you think?
I mean, I think it's a 50-50 fight for sure. Like anybody who writes Dev off for the Haney fight, for Dev off for the Garcia fight is crazy to me anyway, because somebody got to lose. Somebody got to lose. You could say the Osterine, you could say PEDs, whatever you want to say. I look at it like this. They had a bad strategy for that fight, which happens. We saw guys like Sugar Ray, not Sugar Ray, but Sugar Shane Mosley, trained by his father, and his father wasn't a traditional boxer. He didn't have a boxing background. So you're gonna find some gaps in strategy and game plan sometimes when you have those types of relationships. And I think Bill Haney, if he's being honest, they had a bad game plan for the fight with Ryan Garcia. They didn't, they weren't ready for that left hook. But I don't take anything away from Devin Haney as far as his ability or his heart. Like, because to finish that fight, everybody talks about him losing that fight the way he lost it. They don't realize he didn't get knocked out. He kept getting up and kept fighting.
Yo,
I think
wait a
the
minute. You notice
rounds where
that when people be like, "Oh yeah, Dev got knocked the fuck out," like it's like, yo,
that was, to me commendable just to make it to the bell. But beyond that, the rounds where he wasn't hurt, he won those rounds. In my opinion, he was winning the rounds that he didn't get dinged. When he got every time he got dinged, it took him maybe a round and a half to get himself back together. So he was losing the rounds that he got hurt, and then the round after. You know what I mean? And every time he got caught, that's what happened to him. But and that's why he lost the fight, which happens. But somebody got to lose. And the thing that I have an issue with, however, though, is Haney hasn't had like pure punching power and any time in his career, in my opinion. He hasn't been a real puncher. So moving up to 47 after a fight like that. Now I'm not in this camp. I don't know how hard it is for him to make weight. Because yes, you got two sides to the coin. You got some guys who don't have power, like a Manny Pacquiao. He wasn't knocking guys like Barrera and Morales and those guys out. Then he moved up and started knocking everybody out. Was it PEDs or was it, hey, I don't have to strain my body as much in camp to make weight? Get what I'm saying? So maybe Dev goes up and he gets some more power and he's not dehydrating his mind or his brain as much to make weight. So maybe he has more punch resistance as well. Even though I think he's a tough fighter anyway. So maybe he moves up and he can fight the larger guys like the Normans and the Boots and and look better. Maybe. But me personally, I look at it like, hey, you're moving up when you already didn't have that type of power. Does Devin have enough boxing IQ and skill to be able to stay away from guys and give guys trouble at 47? I think so. But when I'm watching the way he handled even a Lomachenko or a Ryan Garcia, those type of guys, I've seen him hurt in those fights. Like he was hurt in both those fights. So if the smaller guys, especially like a Lomachenko who's never been big, the smaller guys are hurting. Ryan Garcia don't really count. He's a big dude anyway. You don't know what his real weight is. I don't know what division he would be in if we had same day weigh-ins. You know, I don't know what they would be. But because I know he looks like a guy that's like walking around 170, 180 that can get down to 35, 40. So Ryan's a little different. But Lomachenko's not a big guy. And those guys are hurting. So I think the fight with Norman is compelling. You know, it's a good way to jump into 47 if you want to make a name and make a wave. That's a hell of an opponent to choose. So it's a good fight. For boxing, I'm loving it. You know, as far as, but if you're looking at it style wise, I always think that good big man beats good little man. And I don't know if Devin's a true 47 yet. He's going to prove it to me in this fight. But that's my question. If I'm Norman, I take the fight because I'm saying, hey, smaller guys have hurt this guy. And you know, I don't know. I don't think he got the power to carry up here at 47. So that's why I take the fight if I'm Norman Camp. And if I'm Haney, I'm looking at Norman like, hey, he's a guy that's like he game, but you know he's dangerous enough in every area, but not so dangerous where you know I can get washed moving up in weight. So it's the perfect fight for both guys. Like if I'm going to move up to 47 and I want to get respected, but not get my head knocked off right away, Norman's a guy that I might look at. And if I'm Norman, I'm looking at a guy like, hey, that's a good payday. And if I'm gambling on the fact that, hey, I don't think he can bring that power to 40. I don't think he's bringing any power to 47. I mean, I take that fight, and it's a good name on your card one way or the other. If you lose a decision, if you're Norman, to a Haney, don't really hurt your career. Don't really kill you. You know what I'm saying? But if you knock Haney the hell out because you're fighting a smaller guy, that does a lot for your career. So both guys have good reasoning behind fighting each other. I think that's a good fight. And I'm starting to see this now. This not on Riyadh season. It's not a Turk. It's a Turk fight.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. I was about to say maybe people are starting to follow in Turk's footsteps because I'm starting to see now that there's a lot of guys that you normally wouldn't see even thinking about fighting each other, you know, because of what's going on with Turk. And if it wasn't a Turk fight, I would say like that's good for boxing because other promoters are starting to follow suit. But it's a Turk fight, so it don't really, that statement don't really count now. But like I said, stylistically it's good for both guys. But does Devin have anything that will make Norman stay off of him? I don't think so. I think if your jab doesn't scare Garcia, if it doesn't scare Lomachenko, I don't think it scares a Norman either. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he has one of the best, sharpest jabs in the game, but it's not a sledgehammer. You know, it's not like, hey, and then his right hand behind that isn't, you don't have KO power. So what does Haney have other than pure boxing IQ that will keep a guy off of him? But when you've been hurt before and people see that you can be hurt, you're gonna have Norman coming at you. You got a bigger guy who's already smelt blood, sees blood, and he's gonna be coming after you. I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna go. I think, like I said, if Devin can pull it off, it's good for him because that's the right type of name to take on jumping up to 47. Safe enough, but dangerous enough to get respected immediately. And then you're gonna get a good payday with whoever else after that if you look good doing it. And then for Norman, you lose a decision, don't really lose much because you fought Haney. People think he's the better pure boxer anyway. But if you hurt him, knock him out, you look great. And you can do the same. You can write your own ticket after that. So it's a good fight for both guys. It's a good fight. And shout out to Turk and those guys for putting fights like that together because boxing now, I tell you the truth, bro. You know me. I tell you, I watch the good ones. You know what I'm saying? So boxing has never been in recent years as exciting for me as it is right now. I'm starting to like buy and purchase all the apps that I need to, every app there is to try to make sure I know where to find the next good fight because I really hadn't cared since HBO days and Showtime days because it hasn't really been anything going on. But Turkish, A.K.O.Y.E and those guys are making it so that boxing is getting a revival, a much needed revival, a shot in the vein that they needed. You know what I mean? So I'm happy for that fight. How it goes though, we're gonna argue about this until it happens. But I think it's a 50-50 fight too. For those reasons I just said, you got good enough big man fighting a little guy, and he's gonna be a lot more aggressive. Norman will be because you've seen smaller guys hurt this guy. Why wouldn't I go after you? I'm gonna go after you, and that would be my game plan. Let him understand that he's in with a bigger, stronger man immediately, and then try to break his will in the later rounds. That's going to be Norman's strategy, I assume. And Haney, I think that obviously you see his last fight. Obviously, he's putting an emphasis on movement. He's putting an emphasis on his cardio. He looked in shape, in shape like a mug. So he's going to be on his bicycle, I think, in this fight. But at some point in that fight against a bigger guy like Norman, he's going to have to sit down and fight. He ain't going to be able to run from Norman the entire night. You ain't going to be able to choose angles to keep him off you. You're going to have to fight. And when he does do that, do he have a water pistol? Or are you shooting with something? We don't know. You know what I'm saying? And at 47, we won't know because, like you said, like I said earlier, some guys move up and weight like a Pacquiao. They move up in weight and they get stronger, or they feel better because they're not taxing their body as much to make weight. So hopefully that's the reason Haney moved up. If he moved up to avoid any smoke at 40 or at 35 or anything like that, I think it's a bad decision. If he moved up because he feels like he taxed himself in the past to make weight and he doesn't like how he feels at 40 or 35, then you might see a different power level at 47.
How I know it's a good fight is if I have more questions than answers for this fight.
Mm.
Right? The the
That's
one
true.
good thing, yeah, the one good thing about Turkey Alashiki is you won't get the fight. The bad thing about Turkey Alashiki is we got a guy from fucking Oakland fighting a guy from Atlanta in Riyadh.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
actual going to the boxing event right now is dying. Like
Mm.
the actual atmosphere is dying because Turkey wants to throw these big mega fights in the Middle East.
But I
Wait,
disagree. But go ahead.
wait, no,
Go ahead. I'm
I
listening.
want you to, I really really want you to think, and it's not to go back and forth, but I really want you to think, right? If you think about all these mega and massive events,
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to make Saudi into
A
a tourist
travel
attraction.
destination. Yeah.
Yeah, but the only issue is why they've lightened up on some of the rules. It's still one of those countries where people that come from other places won't be able to fully enjoy themselves. And I'm
Oh yeah, yeah.
and
No, we're not arguing about that part.
yeah,
You right. You
yeah.
right when it comes to that. I don't think that
And you
I don't think attendance is going to go up because of what Turkey's doing. You're right. So
yeah.
boxing attendance is down, but the reason I don't care about that is why I disagree with you. Not that you're wrong about that statement. You're right about that.
No,
So I'm
I'm
not
saying
arguing.
it's like a seesaw. One thing goes up where we're getting these matchups, but one thing goes down. But as far as the fight goes, I have a lot of questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Norman, the last three fighters have been guys that are going to be available. Last time I saw him in there with somebody, Quentin Randall doesn't move that much, but Quentin Randall is a long, rangy fighter that fights from a distance. Made Brian look bad. Brian won, but he looked bad. Like anybody that fights Quentin Randall looks bad. He's one of those kind of opponents. And so now that makes me question how you deal with guys who aren't right there. Giovanni Santillan, right there. Derek Cuevas, right there. And Sasaki, right there. And I've seen Brian spar or whatnot. And so there's that. I don't know how he's going to handle having to find having to find Dev and then detonate his power, as opposed to him being the faster, more athletic man right in front of a guy and then being able to shift and get his shots off. So that's the question. Question I got for Dev is I know Dev was struggling to make 35. People don't even realize Dev has fought one fight at 140 pounds.
Yeah.
Just one. One fight at 140. But I've heard stories of Dev, not gonna say against who, putting dudes down in the gym. But come fight night, really doesn't have much power. That leads me to believe that you are killing yourself on that scale. You're leaving something there. So I expect you to have more power at 47 than 40. Here's the problem though. They're bigger men.
So does everybody else.
They're bigger men. And so just because you got more power, they can absorb more
Right.
and
They
they can
stopped
dish
making
out more
guns
than the
when they
dudes
made
that you
yours.
that you're used to fighting. And so that's what makes it an intriguing matchup. Whereas though there's going to be a whole bunch of intriguing matchups at 47 now that the
Yeah.
monster is going. The, mo-
Yeah.
the monster is left. It's up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't like. I
That's the
didn't
other
want to
reason he
see.
went up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to see Dev. I didn't want to see To against Boots because I know how that movie ends. But against Brian Norman,
Yeah. Different
I
story.
like
Yeah.
those fights.
I mean, like I don't disagree with anything you said from a style standpoint. Like I said, I agree, and that's kind of what I was pointing to when I said like certain guys feel better at a higher weight due to the fact that they don't have to kill themselves during the cut. You lose a lot in the weight cut, and what people don't talk about in boxing is your punch resistance due to weight cutting. Like you can rehydrate your body, you can't rehydrate your brain in a day. So I don't care
Thank
who
you.
you are, you're not taking the same punishment after dehydrating that you could take on a normal sparring day. So you're not even the same guy that you are when you're preparing for fights or when you're sparring in between fights, because you coming in whatever your walk around weight is, you sparring until you have a fight on the schedule, and then you start to slowly decline your weight or bring your weight down. But when you sparring it, like when Anas sparred J Rock for the Herd fight, J Rock was 178, something like that. 178, 182, somewhere in there. Anas was 152. You get what I'm saying? They both walk, that's both of their walk around weights are close to it, right? So naturally, J Rock had more punch resistance. He was a lot bigger. He was way stronger in sparring. Even though I think he fought great against Hurd, I think he's a strong fighter, even when he, at his weight. But J Rock's punch resistance, I don't think is a true. Is true. Like the guys that he's fought, when you see him get hurt or you see him get buzzed, I think it was probably due to the fact that he's such a large guy coming down to 60 or 54 and fighting. You know what I'm saying? I think J Rock is really has the frame of a light heavyweight or a super middleweight. He's a big guy. You know what I mean? So I don't know. There's something to that, and I say that not to try to like critique his career. Now I'm just using that as an example. But I just think that some guys do bode better staying at a higher weight. Staying at a higher weight. But when you were talking about what Turkish is doing to the game, I wanted to circle back to that because I'm looking at it like now in the era that we're in now. I think post COVID bubble, you have to have your business strategy circling around streaming, right? In some way, one way or another, not the physical experience as much, right? So even if when I throw fights, I don't care if the gate only holds 500 to 1,000 people. If I market the streaming properly, I bold to make more that way than I will at the gate anyway. The gate is limited no matter what. I don't care whether 70,000 people can fit here or 1,000 people fit in here. It's limited. There is no limit to how many people can watch it on the stream if you market it properly. So I'm all for the game changing to the way it is now. We all consume content like we do right here. I'm in my car
I
talking to you
feel
on the
you.
phone.
It has to be balanced though.
Yeah.
I feel like his cards are more earned, and I understand why. Because number one, he's not paying for the shit. It's the crown prince. He's paying
Right.
for it, and of
Right.
course, my objective is not to have this shit popping all over the world, but I want people to come to Saudi.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like 90%, 80 to 90% Saudi,
Right.
10 and
Right.
20% other places.
Right. True. Yeah, that's going to change though. But first you have to, yeah, he's the trailblazer that's in the game right now. But I think that's going to change. I think because I think promoters are going to have to. You already see them; they're starting to follow suit because they're all falling under his umbrella anyway. He young boy and every promoter in the game right now, just taking them and making them agree to let their fighters fight. Which everybody wanted a solution to the issues of the top ranks not fighting the PBCs and so on. Everybody wanted a solution. So this is the solution. And like you said, there are fall offs or setbacks with every decision, no matter what decision you make. But this is the best of both worlds right now, and I'm happy. It got me watching boxing again. You know what I mean? So definitely happy to see it. Happy to see it.
boxing is definitely at a good place right now because of more questions than answers. Like when you have an answer to a question, bro, it makes it like in the NFL, NBA, oh, anything can happen. NFL, Super Bowl, anything can happen. Right? So now when you got a dude like Jerron Ennis moving to 154,
Mm-hmm.
questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now he's not the biggest guy that he's going to be. He's not going to be the bigger man in the ring, right?
Right.
So how's he going to look like punching or getting punched by a bigger man? You got dudes that he was looking to fight at 47. Your Virgil Ortiz's, your
Yeah.
Jesus Ramos's.
Yeah.
Now he's up there with them. Charlo's still around. You got a 6'6" fucking Mexican running around barreling down on people. You got a
Mm-hmm.
Russian that just destroyed Tim Tszyu, and then now you got 47. Now you got the 40s moving up to 47, and then you got guys like Brian Norman, Barrios, Pacquiao still around, and then with 35s, you got some of the 35s moving to 40. But now you got young boys like Abdullah Mason and Kid Austin,
Yeah.
Raymond Moritaya, like yo, like
It's our
I'm
time.
ready.
Yeah.
So
Boxing just got a lot more exciting because of that move too, right? You're right. Him moving up to 54 made it so that the guys that are moving to 47 have time now to make a name for themselves at 47, so that they can still possibly fight him down the line. But now, they can take those titles that he might be vacating at 47 and make an argument that compels fans to want to see those guys like the Tiafimo, I mean, and Haney fight a guy like a Boots down the line. That wasn't going to happen if he stayed at 47, because you would have to see them at 47 against other light competition in order to even make the fight compelling in the first place. And you weren't going to see that. You're not going to compare Haney fighting a bunch of guys at 35 and say, hey, he's ready to fight a guy like Boots at 47. You got to see
but
him fight guys
big
at 47.
question,
And Norman,
question.
hold on, it kind of might be a situation where Haney might be a little crazy. I think he might be chasing Boots though, because Brian Norman, they were trying to get that fight. They were trying to make a fight between him and Boots in the first place.
Are you
But
asking me? Wait. Are you asking
I
me was
think that he
Haney?
fighting Norman to challenge a Boots later. You know
Are
what I'm
you
saying?
are you asking me was Haney and Boots a thing?
I'm not, but now I am. Yeah. Was it?
It possibly could have happened.
Damn. I mean, I think that would have been a crazy decision for Haney to just jump straight to 47 to fight a Boost. I would have said, don't do it. Don't do that. But getting up
I
there and
don't
getting your
want to
feet
see
wet
that.
first and making some money at 47 and then fighting the Boost later at 47, 54, whatever, go for it. Do that 2-3 years. But now you got 2-3 years of peace at 47 because Boost ain't there. You can go reclaim things. You can go claim titles and so on at 47. Where if Boots was there, it's a done yet. All roads had led to Boots at that time.
Honestly, I think that Dev gets a lot of shit, right?
Right.
Dev gets a lot of shit, and he gets a lot of heat. But Dev's a fucking dog, bro.
100%.
Because
I never doubted it.
yo,
Yeah.
he walk it like he is. Yeah, Bill's extra, but Dev walk it like he talk it, bro. In
Mm-hmm.
every sense of the word. Would I be surprised if I see Boots and Dev at 154? No,
I would.
I
I
would
would.
not be surprised about that,
I
yo.
would.
Do I want to see it? No, because I know how that movie ends, and I
Yeah.
I fuck with both guys. Like
Yeah.
I legitimately fuck with both guys.
Yeah. Yeah. That's facts. I wouldn't want to see it. Not now, but I would understand it though. It depends on how you're trying to go with your career. Like if you're saying like, look, I'm after some bread and glory. Yeah, you fight for a year or two at 47 if you dev. And then you let Boots do whatever he's doing, make new real estate at 54, and then try to make a major fight. They're not that far apart for you not to do it. They're gonna fight at some point. I think when doesn't matter to me, but at some point both of them gonna have to get that payday fighting each other. They're gonna do it, just like you're gonna see Dev against well, maybe not against a Tank Davis at this point, because I think Tank is the only one not in this conversation because he's the only one that I think is a true, lightweight. I don't think he's ever going to get up to 47 even. If he does, that'll be
Nah,
like his last week. He's a 140, 135 guy. He's going to stay there. I don't think he ever goes up. So he's the only one not in that conversation for this new landscape. But that honestly extends his reign as well, because the guys that are now going to move up to 40, move up to 47, it makes it so those younger guys that are down at 35, 30, and 30 and 40 are now like choice opponents for a guy like Tank. So Tank has a better chance of elongating his career against those younger guys, rather than, we keep talking about these fights against Shakur or fights against Haney, and if those fights don't happen because they move on, I think Tank is going to kill some of these younger guys that's coming. I don't think Floyd Schofield is ready for Tank right now. In my opinion, I think he's ready as far as marketability, but that's why I say you got to take your shot now if you're going to take it. But I just don't think that he's defensively there where he can stay away from Tank's power long enough to win that fight. He does have a puncher's chance like anybody else, and Tank showed against guys like Rolly, against guys like even Ryan Garcia, that he does, and against Frank Martin. If you're a big, strong, aggressive puncher, he will wait and kind of buy his time so that he can deliver that power. It's just, do you have the punch resistance to deal with it when he does it?
Hey,
We
D,
gonna
real
find out.
fast. Hey, John, Cash App is YSM Sports Media. Yeah, the YSM is capitalized. Appreciate you. Yeah, go ahead, D.
Yeah, get that money, man. I ain't never gonna stop that. Get the money.
Hey,
Stop. Time out. Get the money. You know what I mean? But no, man, that's where I'm at on both those fights, though, man. I think that the boxing real estate has got rearranged. There's some development going on right now, and I'm happy that things getting shaken up. To be honest with you, because it wasn't very exciting for some years, and then COVID was like boxing's depression. You know what I mean? So now it's getting a much needed shot in the veins, and I'm happy. I'm happy for it.
yo, but you wouldn't have liked to see Haney and Norman in Atlanta.
I mean, from a fan standpoint, like
That's the
attendance.
joint where you
Oh
whip
yeah,
out where you whip out the fur.
yeah,
Shouts out to the
yeah,
love.
yeah.
That's
Shout out to the love. You gotta have a fur on in the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? With some
right.
shades at night. You know what I mean? Shades at night, furs in the summer. You gotta be like, you know what I mean, the contrarian. You know what I mean? But
Black
no,
Hollywood.
yeah. I would definitely love to see that in Atlanta. I'm not gonna front, or in just in the states anywhere. I wouldn't care where. Vegas, you know what I mean? But I understand it, but you're right. From an attendance standpoint, physical attendance, yes. But from a standpoint of like just putting the fights together that make people actually tune in, pay for pay-per-view, and stream it. I think they're doing the same thing. Like I talk to you offline, but you know what I want to do with the Moroccan guys that I train or the African fighters that I train. I want to stream it back over there, right? They're doing the
Yeah.
opposite. They're bringing the American talent to Saudi, and they're forcing the stream. You got to stream it because those guys that would have been there in Atlanta. Now, for every one star that you got in the front row that came and that might have tweeted it or posted it on IG and brought a couple people with them, now that one person watching it, whoever those influencers are bringing thousands more because everybody has to stream it. It's not, you can't go physically either. Everybody has to stream it. You know what I mean? Unless you're flying over there. I mean, obviously, but I think that it's going to force more streams this way. So I still think business wise, Turkish is on to something. So it's going to catch up though, but it got to catch on first. But it's going to catch up. It's going to catch up. The stream game is going to be good for everybody. You know what I mean? It's going to be good for
Yeah.
everybody, including the fighters.
For me, I feel like Top Rank dropped the ball with Norman, right?
Mm,
Atlanta is an untapped market
mm,
for boxing. We
mm,
saw guys like dip their toe in it. Tank did it. Shakur did it. But I feel like we should treat Atlanta. Promoters need to stop getting lazy, right? Promoters do the same five fucking venues and consistently. They gonna
yeah,
give you a Texas John. They gonna give you a Cali John,
gonna give you
Vegas,
a Vegas, John.
New York, right?
Yeah,
And then PBC they gonna give you Minnesota,
yeah.
right? And
Or
I
Lake
need dudes,
Minnetonka, some shit like that.
I need these promoters to start taking risks because other places like Atlanta's doing well with everything else. You don't think it can do well with boxing?
No, I mean, like I said, I agree. Atlanta would do
No,
well.
I'm not saying it to you. I'm saying it
No,
just in
boxing.
general.
Atlanta does need boxing, but it's growing there though. I think you're gonna get that type of venue or those type of events because you got like Tyler Perry Studios down there. You got a lot of powerful. There's a lot of money down in Atlanta. Like it's dumb money down there. So there's a lot of
Facts.
powerful black guys down there. So if we as black promoters and black fighters can kind of figure out our business plan and how to move with it, Atlanta would be great. The problem is most of them don't want to work together well enough to make something like that as popular as it could be or should be. You know what I mean? Because it's just really not there. I look at Philly the same way though. I look at Philly like, how the hell you in the boxing mecca of the United States, or maybe even one of the boxing meccas in the world, respectfully to every other, spot or location. But you in the boxing mecca, and I would argue that as far as singular location, like if you look at Midwest as a whole, Midwest got a lot of fighters, right? But if you look at a city, just one location that has fighters per capita, Philly is crazy with it. But for them not for the business to not match that is ridiculous. The business don't match that. Like the venues and the level of fights that we have here when we have them, it don't match what we are as a city or as a location. So I think that the business from and it's just me being honest, just from a black promoter or a black business perspective, we gotta do better because, like you said, Atlanta, Philly, you got locations where you can make a lot of money. You got fighters that's jumping off of, you know, rest in peace, Sam T. He was riding SEPTA buses, but he was fighting guys like Dave Lee. You know what I'm saying? Like you got fighters like that are riding SEPTA buses or working for the post office. You know what I mean? So Philly has more talent than I've seen almost anywhere I've been in since I've been doing this. So for us not to be making money, you should be able to write your own ticket here. Even from I'm talking about just from a club fighter perspective, like from the Blue Horizon levels, it should be fights, all the time here. And it's not just because the boxing business though. The other half of it is the nightlife industry with Philly because of the way the YN's moving and the way the danger is. If people don't want to go out as much anymore. You know what I mean? You know how that go. You run a bar or you've ran bars, like people don't want to go out and get their head knocked off or shot off, just to go watch a fight. So we got to do better overall in general. Even the fight that we threw in Delaware, that was just a KO party with Gilly and those guys. Main man ripped the door off. Dog run outside, tear his pants off. You know what I'm saying? So
I
they said
remember that
somebody
shit.
was shooting outside. Nobody was shooting at all. But I'm just saying, all the things that was going on behind the scenes with that and the chaos that ensued when we was running that, it let you know why it's very difficult to make money at home, and probably why you don't see the Atlantas having that type of notoriety with boxing or in boxing yet. But I think we should. I agree that it should be a thing. But will it be? That's, will it ever be black unity? Fuck, I don't know. I don't think so. You know what I mean? But I agree with your sentiment, though. You know what I'm saying?
For me, Top Rank is dropping the ball because one thing I give Eddie Hearn, Eddie gets a lot of shit, but Eddie is willing to take risks. Eddie will give a dude a hometown fight,
Mm,
and it worked.
mm,
Explain this to me, right? Al Heyman. Al Heyman is like one of my heroes.
mm,
But explain to me how you have Danny Garcia, Stephen Fulton, Jerron Ennis, Julian Williams, and Teef O'Burlton all under one umbrella, and
they don't fight at home.
The Brit is the one that throws the hometown fight.
Oh,
The
that's
Brit,
well.
he's not
See,
even fucking
shout
from
out,
here,
shout out
and
to
he's
Al
the one.
Heyman, right? And I'm gonna say this because of this, right? You got, I mean, Eddie Hearn's a good businessman. I'm not trying to hate on him business wise, but I think Al Heyman's looking at it like, look, your yesterday is the best indicator of future events is the past, right? So he's looking at it like, look, Philly. When you look at the Bernard Hopkins when they used to fight here or
Yeah,
try to fight here, Philly hasn't shown love for fighters since ever. You know what I
you
mean?
know. Wait,
So
wait,
why
I
would you
got
come
something. You know
surface?
what's crazy is
What?
that this is an argument that I had with Tom Brown
Uh huh.
at Gervonta Davis versus Hector Luis Garcia in DC.
Mm,
I'm having this argument. He used that. oh, well, Tyson didn't do well, and this person didn't do well, that person didn't do well, and then look, the Brit.
Okay, I mean, I give you that, but that's because what else would he do coming to the States? Like Eddie Hearn's best strategy is to try to cultivate your own. He has to build a core following for you where you are. And that's because he's, you're going to, just like I said, your past is the best indicator of future action. Where he is, and in the UK, that's how you market it there. Like everybody has a cult following. So well, when they'll come across the pond and follow you to the States to fight, like when you look at guys like Ricky Hatton and so on back in the day. But so when you have that mindset and you coming from that mindset as a promoter, you are going to think, hey, let me get this fighter, surrounded by people who already endear him and build his following up. So Eddie Hearn's investing in the infrastructure of a Boots when he does a hometown fight. Whereas
I'm
guys
saying
who are
he's done it with everybody. He threw a fight in fucking Cleveland with fucking Montana Love.
Oh no, I'm not
These
saying he's
promoters
just
gotta
doing it with
start taking
just
risks.
Boots. I get you, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. But that's because that's his strategy. That's how he thinks. You know what I'm saying? That's how he thinks where he is. Heyman's from here. He like, look, man, he gonna go to where the money already is, just like a developer would. Like if you're gonna build a house somewhere, you're gonna build it where you can sell. You're not gonna build it in a rural town and say we're gonna bring the people to us. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Hearn thinks that way because that's just the mentality of the way the business structure and boxing is set up in the UK. So he's going to just take what he knows and do it here because he's not going to change his stripes just because he started promote fighters in the States. And I think just like Turkish Alakash having his strategy is good for boxing, Eddie Hearn now managing fighters that are U.S. bred fighters is good as well because now I'm going to get the answer to the things I was just talking about. Like, why do we have a boxing mecca like Philadelphia and Philly ain't supporting it the same way, or it's not really there? Because nobody was going to take the risk that Eddie Hearn is taking by putting money behind a fight that is hometown consistently enough to make that happen because in order for it to get better, it got to get worse at first. So you got to take those risks and say, hey, we might throw a dud here, we might throw an average fight here, but he's not doing it. People are coming out. So for him to do it here and take the risk to do it has to go off to him for it because it just make things better for people like me. You know what I'm saying? Like when I started throwing fights here, now people are in a rhythm of, coming out to fights like that or coming out to events like that. Because that's the same way I looked at it when we threw the fight in the Met. It was like the Met rate me for $100,000. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the venue itself, Live Nation got me, but I still wanted to go forward with it anyway at the Met because I knew like, look, if you're gonna keep throwing fights at 20, no hate on none of these venues. I don't even want to name venues because it's gonna seem like a smear campaign. It's not. It's just, but you gotta bring a certain type of energy or element to boxing in Philadelphia or in these areas, right? Not just Philly, you said Cleveland, other places. You gotta bring it back where it's somewhere that the layman fan or the person who's not really a boxing fan still want to go out that night because everybody in the city talking about being there that night. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going because I watch fights. I watch boxing. I'd rather watch it at home. You
People
know what I'm
wanted
saying?
you talking
I'm
about the
going
people
because
that want to be in the
everybody
mix.
gonna be there. You know what I'm saying?
I get that. But all right, so for me, right, I would like to see I I, I think the kid Yo-Yo is Yo-Yo might fight Irizlandi Lara next, right? And so traditional promoters was, hey, let's put that on the undercard, of a fucking Vegas fight. When the reality is, put that shit, they two Cubans. Put that shit in Miami and see what it does.
Yep.
Put
Yep.
it like let's see if the Cubans will come out.
Yep.
Dudes, I saw a dude in the comments said Norman ain't bringing out Atlanta. How the fuck do we know that? You won't
Right.
know until you give him a fucking crack at it. Let him get a crack.
And
The only way we
but the game
knew
has
Tank
changed
would bring
anyway.
out
Like people who
you
think
you
that a
got to give him
fighter,
an opportunity though.
but the fighters, I think you a flawed promoter, in my opinion. And I know I'm new in the promoting game. I ain't been promoting for years and years, but I've been promoting parties for a long ass time. And I just bring this, just like I just said, Eddie Hearn bring the same strategy. He from the UK to where he is. I bring the same strategy from club promotion to boxing. I don't have to be the greatest, the most popular promoter. You don't even got to remember my face. You don't need to know who the hell I am. People still don't. I don't give a shit if you do or don't, because I don't want to be famous. I want money. You know what I'm saying? I'm in it for that, and I want to create compelling events. But the thing I'm talking about is, if you're smart as a promoter in today's age, you're using influencers to fill up your seats, not Brian Norman. You know what I'm saying? Yes, Brian Norman needs to build up his notoriety, but you don't promote a fight by saying, let me go get, because it ain't but so many Boots and Take Davises that's out here. It ain't that many Mike Tysons in the world that got a brand that's like Oscar De La Hoya or something like that that's going to bring people out no matter what. Floyd Mayweather's. There's not that many of those. You know what I'm saying? The way you build and cultivate a following is through not only the core following for the fighter itself, but influencers. You need to be investing in influencers in order to bring that out. And if you looking at Atlanta and you can't pack a venue in Atlanta with Brian Norman on the marquee, you're just a bad promoter, because you should be using it. It's nothing but influencers in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So you should be using them to drive the traffic. And if you ain't doing that, you just a dumbass. You're a dinosaur in the boxing game. You know what I'm saying? Because it don't work like, hey, let me hope the fighter is popular. He gonna sell tickets and he gonna fill up my. That don't work. That ain't gonna work. You gonna get somewhere, but now you're gonna become one of those penny pinching promoters that's trying to stop fighters from getting to the next level. Why? Because if Brian Norman could bring him out in Atlanta and I was a promoter that was bringing him up, you think I want to leave? He can't leave. I can't fill my venue without him. Get what I'm saying? Because he's the only one that's bringing them. You can't rely on the fighters to bring your crowd. You got to do it, and you got to do that through not only your marketing ability, but influencing the influencers around you. If you're not doing that, you're a dumbass. And no offense to anybody who don't do it, but you is a dumbass. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Well, like you said, you mentioned dinosaurs, right? A lot of these guys, and respect to them, because they're the greatest promoters of all time. The reality is, they were promoting, like uh, talking to Bob, and I'm like, yeah, promoting for, like, 50 years. I think said 40 years or something like that. But I think Bob said he's been promoting fights for 60 years.
Crazy. Yeah. And you remember we had what's his name here? Russell Peltz was out forever. You know what I mean? He was promoting forever too. So yeah, there's a lot of dinosaurs in the game. And
It's
like I
either
said,
Bob. It's either Bob's been promoting 50 and close to 60.
right. But when you look
Yeah,
at the game back
see,
then, though, there was no
senior,
streaming. There were
senior. He is a boxing promoter, senior.
right. There was no streaming back in the day. There were no influencers to help you market back in the day. The fighter him. So I understand that business model. If you were Bob Arum or if you're Russell Peltz, and even your Don King, I understand that. Like you have to find a star and you have to move him properly to make a star out of it. But now you have to couple that mindset with the new age, which is influence and your ability to not only um, be the star, right? But you have to create a compelling argument by tying that star to a rocket, so to speak. So you leverage other stars. You see that in the podcast game. It's the same business strategy. The podcast game, you see Joe Rogan interviewing some of his friends. Why? So they can glean some of the followership from him. You see guys going to Breakfast Club all the time, right, to promote themselves on their podcasts. Why? Because they know they're gonna get spillover. You know what I mean? Because they need the influence. But boxing was like one of the only sports I've seen that's like late to the party when it comes to utilizing that strategy. Even club promoters do it. Like club promoters, like, hey, Birdman gonna be in New York, July 8th, something like that. I get guys that's calling me now, still thinking that I'm in that lane. They're like, hey, you want to pay to have him come out? I mean, that game is dead to me, but I understand influencer marketing is still a viable and powerful marketing tool, and it hasn't been used enough. I think. I think promoters are relying on the fact that their fighter is popular enough to bring out certain stars or certain influencers, and they're just hoping that they get the collateral flow from that instead of making it a targeted marketing effort. They're not doing that. They're not doing, because if they were, they wouldn't be scared of no town or no venue, or they wouldn't really be scared of that, because you would be using the influencers in those locales to make sure that you got the type of crowd that you need. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of promoters ain't doing that.
I think that getting back to the actual boxing part.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is a 50-50 fight. I think for me, I got more questions than answers. If Brian Norman closes the gap on Dev, I think it's gonna get dark.
Uh,
If
so
Dev,
so the question is, my question to you is, do you think Dev has something to? Does he have anything in the arsenal that'll keep Brian Norman from doing that in the first place, other than
not
his
sure,
wheels?
not sure.
Not sure.
I need
Are
to.
you saying
I
that
haven't
because that's
seen.
your man's and y'all cool?
No, I haven't seen.
I want your
I haven't
true
seen
boxing
enough.
analysis on that one. Not
No,
sure. Do you think he does? Like from what you've seen,
do I
anything
think
you've
that he
seen from
does?
Dev, what does he have to keep him off him? I know that's your man. Like, you don't gotta say nothing crazy or disrespectful, but the truth, give it to me. Like, do
No,
you,
I'm.
do you
I'm.
think he
I'm
got
giving you
something?
the truth.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the truth. I'm not sure, yo. And the reason why I'm not sure is because I haven't seen Dev. I've seen Dev at a bunch of catch weights at 40, right? And so I've never seen him at the full 147-pound limit, and I've never seen him get in there with a 47-pounder. I've seen you in there with guys that fought at 35 and guys that fought at 40, even though they're good sized guys. So I got more questions than answers, bro. I do.
I mean, going with the theme that history is the greatest predictor of future events, right? I look at it like this: Dev was able to hurt. Uh, I think he hurt Lomo early, but then he got hurt later. After he got hurt, I think Lomo started changing the tide of that fight. Obviously, you saw what happened with Garcia. Those ain't the only two fights he had, though. But Dev, to me, early in the game against smaller guys, early in the fight, I think he has some sting. He has some sharp. His jab is sharp. They respect it. But you've seen smaller guys figure it out and start to walk him down, right? Smaller guys like Alomo, right? So to me, if you aren't carrying your power through the later rounds and hurting guys as a smaller guy, I don't see you going up. I just don't see I don't see anything Dev is going to be able to do that to keep Brian Norman off of him. My only grace for Dev in this, and I'm saying it slow because I don't want to say the wrong thing because I'm not like trying to hate on him when I say this, but the question that I have, you said there's a lot more questions than answers. The sole question that I have that gives me hope for Dev is he moving up because he's been draining himself at 40 and 35? If he is, then maybe he does have more power moving up. And the one fight that I look at that's like grace for Dev, good little guy versus good big guy, is that fight. I don't remember the guy's name. He fight was a South African dude, but Sugar Ray Leonard, when he went up to light heavyweight to fight that South African bull back in the day, man, he whooped his ass. I forgot what his name is, but Sugar Ray Leonard actually moved up. When he moved up, he took some. He seemed like he had good power when he did it back in the day. I'm not saying Dev is Sugar Ray Leonard, but I'm just saying nobody thought Ray Leonard would be able to knock out light heavyweight at that time. You remember who I'm talking about? The guy he fought. Remember his name?
I know the fight. I just don't remember the guy's name.
I don't remember the guy's name. It was a white guy, blonde hair, tall dude, but he knocked him the fuck out. So that question for me, like, will Dev have more power at 47? If we get in that fight and we see that he doesn't, I don't think he got nothing to hold Norman back. If he does have good pop at 47, then I think that and Norman respects it for more than 5 rounds, then I think that Dev has.
Donnie Lalonde.
There you go. There you go. So it's not like it can't happen. I don't. It's happened in the history of boxing. Not like it can't happen. Not like a guy can't move up and gain more pop when he does it. But Sugar Ray Leonard was killing guys at the smaller weights too, though. You know what I mean? So
I
he
feel you.
had power. You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't think that these guys. Here's the reason why I say I got more questions. Right. Last 3 fights I've seen Brian Norman against guys that'll be available. Okay. Can he seek and destroy? One question. Two, what the fuck is Dev gonna look like at 47? I've seen him look like the
That's a
fucking
good
Crypt
question.
Keeper at 35.
Right.
I've only seen really one fight at 40. I've seen you do like 2 catch weights. Well, actually, you didn't do the first one wasn't a catch, it was a catch weight, but you actually weighed in at 40. The dude missed weight. I've seen you at 45, but you looked a little shell shocked. And so the first thing that I was taught in boxing is speed is power.
Right.
The
True.
shot that you don't see coming is the shot that hurts you. And could it be a situation where Dev could throw a bunch of well-timed shots to get his respect? Could be. Could Brian Norman end up walking through that shit and sending Dev to the gulag? Could be. I gotta see it. I gotta see it, yo.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. Like I think there's enough questions to make it compelling. Like I'm excited to watch the fight. And I think that, like I said, I think Dev is definitely he definitely got the heart. So it's like, look, if he can't beat you as a pure boxer and he's not gonna outbox you, does Dev have enough heart to make it a compelling fight? I think so. So it's still a good fight, regardless of how you go. I don't think, like somebody said, Brian Norman going to end his career and all that. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that much of a mismatch. I agree with you more. It's more of a 50-50 fight, and it's like because both of them have strengths on each side, and it's like, what are they bringing to the table that night, and which one is going to be able to impose their will that night. That's what we're looking at. But they both have attributes or advantages based on their skill set and our size and experience that you have to answer, and the only way to answer it is by actually seeing it in the ring. You're not going to know to that day. I think there is something to Devin Haney moving up and not having to dehydrate as much that will help with punch resistance. I think he's never been knocked out, but he gets hurt, and I think when he gets hurt, it could be because he's having a weight drain. I mean, so you don't know. You know what I mean? You don't know, but they know. They watching each other. They know each other in training. Like I call you about guys that I'm training, and you be like, oh, I don't know about this shit. I'll say some shit, and you won't even you don't even respond to. You be like, I don't know about that. But I'm watching them. Like I know them, right? Same thing. Like they know what's going on in their camp. They know if Dev is like you might watch him and say, oh, like you said, he putting guys down when he walking around at 165 sparring, and then all of a sudden, a punch from a lesser puncher or a smaller guy might hurt him in a real fight. And you're like, was it perfectly timed, or is it the fact that he's dehydrating his brain? You know what I'm saying? Which one is it?
All right.
And we won't know.
I got a question for you real fast before we end this, right?
Go ahead.
Who would you bring in for work to prepare for either guy?
Who would I bring in to prepare for Devin Haney?
Yeah.
Africa. Yeah. Africa.
Yeah. The only problem with that is and Norman Senior's in the chat. That shit could happen soon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So do you want to do that? But go ahead.
I mean,
Africa's
just like build wise, skill set wise, he could.
Yeah, see, you say he might be next. I'm like, yeah, that shit could happen soon.
Sorry about it. Somebody called me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I'm still on the camera though. I ain't here.
No, you're not on the camera no more for some reason.
I don't know why. Yeah, shit. Let me turn it back on. Yeah, somebody just called me and messed my shit up. I don't know why. Hold up.
Yeah, go ahead, cook though.
Well, what I'm saying is like I said, like when you look at build wise, he gonna give you a lot of the things that Haney can give you in the ring. He got a great jab. I watched him spar Duke Johnson, I think. Was Nair Albright little brother.
Yeah.
I watched him spar. I watched Africa spar him, and I didn't even know who Africa was. I said, "Who the hell is that?" Because of the way he came off, he got off in that sparring session, and I like the way he worked. So that's who I would bring in if I wanted a guy that can mimic some of the things you're gonna say. Haney. That's the first person I would go to. I like Africa. If you're trying to get a Norman style, I mean, I don't really know, man. It's like with that, it's like just fight a lot of bigger guys. I think Haney is in a better position in training camp than a Norman is, because you can find a bunch of guys that are larger, that are bigger, that can pressure you, because that's what he's going to see. You know what I mean? So you can find a lot of guys that can give you that if you're Haney, especially coming from where he's from. Like he come from the Mexican gauntlet, so he's seen pressure guys. Now he has to see it from a larger guy, right? As far as Norman, though, I don't think you can find guys with like a pure jab that's out. Like Haney got a crazy jab. He got one of the best jabs in the game. Like so to see that or to mimic that style, I think you look at guys like Africa. I look at that's the first guy that comes to my mind is Africa. That's who I would go with. So if you're asking me who would be my first phone call, it would be that. And then you can call me. I got a guy for you that's similar build, that's strong as shit. But it depends. It depends. I don't think he has the jab either that Haney has. You don't see that often. Haney, I give his dad and him credit for how they developed his jab. He has a great jab. So figuring that out and then movement on top of that, he's shown that with Shane Mosley, I think he moved too much. They had too much emphasis on movement in his last fight, but you can see that the emphasis is hey, we're not just going to jab guys and try to walk guys down. We're gonna move too. So having a guy who can both move and has a good jab and strong, and you're gonna get great rounds out of it, I would go right after Africa, man. That's where I would go.
All right, for me, the problem that you run into with Norman is a lot of guys that you could bring in is guys that are in your realm of possibly fighting within the next year or so, right? So Tiger Johnson would be a good call. Africa would be a good call, but you could end up facing either one of them. Do you really want them to like rub up against you and gotta kind of get a feel for you? No. So two dudes that kind of aren't necessarily like known, but I think that could provide good work and pop and could provide good work and are accessible. Nair Albright, one.
Oh,
Brandon
I,
Pizarro,
I did overlook Nair on that one. I ain't gonna
yeah,
front on that. That's a good one. You pulled. I like Nair for that,
yeah.
for sure.
Brandon Pizarro, two. Um,
I remember him. I like Pizarro. We watched him
yeah,
at TKO one time. I respected his game. I might have been at Six in Cambria. Matter of fact, I don't know where we was at when we watched him, but I think it might have been it was either TKO or we was on Sixth Street, and I was with you. So I think you introduced me to him. But I like him. But
yeah. I'm gonna get back to him because I got to do some thinking. As far as like Brian Norman, um, but back in younger work, Carmel.
no,
See if you can get a couple of sessions in with Porter, Amanda Stanionis,
are you saying this for Haney?
Andres.
For Haney?
Yeah, I'm talking about yeah for in preparation for Norman. See if you
Right,
can.
right. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, Andres Carteraskis. He's out of Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Floyd Schofield.
Floyd Schofield, even though Floyd's a little bit small.
Yeah, but he gonna give you
Uh,
that style.
yeah, he's definitely gonna give you that style. Kermel's a little bit small, but he's gonna give you that style. Back to sparring in preparation for Dev. It's somebody I'm fucking missing because Tiger in Africa would have been good, but
Keyshawn.
yeah, you can't.
If Keyshawn got
Yeah,
his head together.
Keyshawn,
Keyshawn. He can give you those
Keyshawn,
looks. But
that'd actually
I
be
like
good work. I'll pay to see that shit.
my favorite one though.
Oh,
I think it's African Albright. I like Albright. Albright is I like Wu, man. Wu nasty, man, and he's slick. So you're not gonna just walk him down. Like he gonna make
Carmel
you
ain't
work.
that big, but he ain't small either.
He ain't small at all. He got a
Yeah.
good jab, great foot. Like I said, it's movement in the jab that you're dealing with. So you can either use it, you can do it in sparring, or you can drill it in. If you can't get it in sparring, but you got the budget to be able to get it in both. So I would say,
Oh,
go ahead.
Jahad Tucker.
I don't know Jihad that well. I don't know his
Ja-
game that well.
Senior, Jahad Tucker. Big enough to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And even though he didn't fight Truck that way, yeah. And then if I'm Dev, I'll bring in Truck.
Got you. Well, I mean, I
No,
can't
wait,
argue with
Truck's a
that though.
southpaw. Truck's a southpaw. Shit.
I can't argue with that though. I can't
Mark
argue with the
Dawson.
rest of the name. Who?
Mark Dawson.
You could bring in if you're trying to get a Norman look at your Haney, you can go get a Paul Crawl too. Paul got a bunch of styles. Paul got styles on top of styles and shit. I've seen him fight a bunch of different styles. So he could fight pressure for you too. He could fight for you. But good shit, man. I agree.
Yeah, but we gonna head out. Appreciate y'all. And I know why you put them eyes up saying fuck out of here, man. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. I know why you put them eyes up. Fuck out of here, nigga.
Well, appreciate you, bro.
Ellis, Scary Hours. Ellis for who?
Ellis for
who? For Norman? I don't know. Because how Sheedy fight, he ain't going.
Fast though.
Yeah, fast, but
yeah, you getting the movement out of that. I mean, you get the movement out of that. But yeah, you got a point though. Sheedy got a good. Sheedy not that bad though. Sheedy got a good jab.
No, I think Sheedy nice. I just don't think that Sheedy fits what Norman's gonna try to do to you in there.
Oh yeah, no. No, I'm talking about for Norman to spar to prepare for Haney, not
to prepare for death.
Yeah, movement in a jab. Yeah, not the other way around.
Sheedy want to fight.
Huh?
You know, I said Sheedy. He wants to fight Norman.
Oh, that's a fact. Yeah. That's a fact.
No, D, where you from? You from North, right?
Yeah, North Richard Allen.
Yeah. Hey, Richard Allen ball, man.
Project Young Ball. He said I'm from West.
Damn, no, he asked you from G-Town or West.
West Philly ball. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. But shit, we gonna head out. Appreciate you stopping in. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, subscribe to A.K.O.Y.E Media. Bunch of great football content. I'm trying to get him to talk more boxing because, as you can see, he's very astute in that. But yeah, appreciate y'all for hopping out, man.
I appreciate it, man. Have me on, man. I'm on you.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Talk to you soon.
All right, yo, we out here.
All right, bet.